shut down the Jim Cornette's Talking Sense YouTube channel. Welcome everyone once again to the Rasslin Roundup. This is Chris Lee Moore, joined as usual by John Weber, and as occasion, this time by Jeff Gwinnett, Writer's Block. Once again getting this band back together for this segment. And
hello.
Absolutely. Great to have all you guys. And before we get to the main topic, I'll try to briefly explain what I was talking about here. Look, I don't claim to be proud of this, that I will have, on occasion, watch and leave some rather trolling comments on the videos that are on the unofficial YouTube channel that posts clips from Jim Cornette's podcast. Now, supposedly it's unofficial, but was done with his blessing, supposedly. But this past Wednesday morning, I wake up to see that some guy did indeed leave responses to a few of my comments suggesting that Joey Ryan did not do as much damage to the wrestling industry as a guy like Jim Cornette had and his territory buddies
Quick
has
question.
done.
I'm just making sure I'm getting my names straight here. Joey Ryan is the guy with the whole super penis gimmick, right?
He's basically if Val Venus was in the 1970s. Yes.
Okay.
That's
yeah.
basically.
He's the guy who does like the boob plex, right?
Yeah, that's the kind of thing. His
Yeah,
whole gimmick is basically like being a 70s porn star. And Jim Cornette hates him because he hates all types of comedy wrestling. So
Right.
I post a few comments on one of his videos bashing Joey Ryan, saying Jim Cornette and all of the fraudulent, discreet, all of kayfabe basically did more damage to the mainstream public's opinion of wrestling than Joey Ryan ever could. So this past Wednesday, sure enough, one of Cornette's diehard fans, I'm not leaving the guy's name, I don't even remember it to be perfectly honest, but...
Not with your time, no.
Yeah, dares to respond to me by saying, like, I don't know a damn thing about sports, I don't know a damn thing about the wrestling business, yada, yada, yada. Any rate, that afternoon, I proceed to, just by curiosity picks me, I decided to check out the videos in the comments to see what has happened, and I couldn't, because the video was gone. In fact, the entire channel, as of now, is DOA. Now, I'm not gonna honestly say that I did anything to get that channel shut down. Who knows the reason? I'm just gonna take a little bit of a laughter in the fact that probably one of the last things to happen on that channel was some Yahoo Cornette supporter daring to call out my belief that I thought kayfabe, I agree with Joey Ryan that kayfabe really hurt wrestling and needs to die. Maybe we'll talk, I'll get in more of that into why guys like Jim Cornette so disappoint me, I'll put it that way.
No, that's a massive bundle of worms that I am not ready to get into tonight.
Absolutely. What we are going to do tonight, I just want to get that out of the way.
It's already almost 8 o'clock. I don't want to be up till 2 a.m., man.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't worry, I'm not stringing you guys along for that long. What we are going to do tonight, we're definitely going to preview the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view that takes place this Sunday night, just about 200 miles south of me in San Antonio, Texas. And yeah, it's one of the only reasons I'll dare go down into the dirty Riverwalk of San Antonio, because I did in fact get to finagle myself a ticket to this event. I will be heading down there shortly. First down to Corpus Christi for the house show that Saturday. I'll be heading down there probably soon after my Rowdy Live event on Friday night. But also be catching the Corpus Christi house show, back up to San Antonio for the Hell in a Cell event, and then back up to catch Raw here at the AAC in Dallas the following Monday. Gonna be a big Rasslin road trip for Rowdy. But we'll preview those matches of Hell in a Cell. First off, I mean, know that in the wake of some incidents that have happened in all the world of wrestling, my partner John here had a very interesting topic he wanted to touch on here.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. Something that's kind of interesting to me is that I've noticed, particularly recently, I missed a bunch of NXT recently. Disclaimers, I've said it before in the past, but I'll just reiterate it again. I do not watch Raw. I do not watch SmackDown. I don't have cable in my apartment, nor do I have 5 hours a week to burn on that sort of stuff. I usually don't even have an hour per week to burn on NXT. I'll let a NXT backlog build up and then binge like 4 or 5 weeks worth of NXT all at once.
Yeah, I was supposed to
But
say.
I do watch.
Go
on.
I would suggest that maybe you could get Sling TV eventually, like I do, which is how I watch Raw SmackDown. But if you can't put aside the time Monday and Tuesday nights and have to do it on your own time, that's perfectly understandable.
No, yeah, I'm working like 48 hours a week at work. Anyways, I don't have time for 3 hours of, let's be honest here, questionable at best wrestling quality TV. The point is, but I still watch the major pay-per-views. I'll watch your big four, and occasionally, if there's a card that interests me, I'll watch something small like Extreme Rules or Backlash or something along those lines. But something interesting that I've noticed is that when it comes to just NXT versus the main roster, is that there's a whole different dynamic to the crowd that attends these shows that I don't see. For example, in NXT, I haven't seen people break out beach balls at an NXT event yet. I haven't heard chants of CM Punk down at NXT yet. I haven't heard. I mean, the NXT's crowd's got its own problems on occasion. They're very smart and they love to draw attention to themselves. I won't deny that. But the other thing is that, and this is the major point for me, when it comes to crowd interaction and crowd support for a given storyline, NXT crowds seem willing to play ball with the story that WWE is trying to tell down in NXT. Much more so than they are up on the main roster at Raw and SmackDown. And I kind of want to bring up 2 points for this. One, and granted, these are like about a year apart, but it does shows this interesting dichotomy.
Before you get into that, I do want to ask one thing of Jeff here. Now, Jeff, you're in the Jacksonville area. You live around in the northern or central Florida, correct?
Yes, Jacksonville, yeah.
Yeah, I do. So I was just wondering, if you're on there, have you ever been able to attend? I know it's technically in Orlando, I believe, but you ever been able to attend one of these NXT events? And is if you have, is John pretty much seem to be on the money with this? That's what he says.
Well, I haven't been to any of the shows in Orlando. I have been. They do have house shows over at the National Guard Armory, which is like right down the street. I could literally walk there from here.
Lucky you.
But at no time during any of those events did I hear like a CM Punk chant or see a beach ball. I mean, it's a small venue, like really, really small, but it's still they're there to watch NXT. They're there to watch, their favorite guys, if they happen to show up. Sometimes the bigger names don't. Sometimes the bigger names show up, sometimes they don't. But they're a smarky crowd, but they're generally respectful. Generally.
Well, I was curious to get that point of view from the guy who lives mostly in NXT's region, so to speak. Back to you, John.
And that's a good point. Actually, you had a good word there, Jeff. Actually, the word was respectful. It's just interesting to me how much crowds are willing to play ball and be a crowd that's supportive of the product, to use the corporate speak, which can really make or break the feel of a match. Post-Mania 33, one of the big storylines coming out of it was that Roman Reigns had, we thought, maybe retired The Undertaker. I'm still of the opinion that he should have retired The Undertaker after the Mania 33 match. Would have been great. Mm-hmm. Then Roman, as this great underdog babyface, goes up against Braun Strowman. And I actually remember how weird and bizarre world it felt to me, because during that match, Roman's lying prone on the ground. Braun Strowman picks up a set of chairs and straight up just smashes Reigns in the chest. I looked like Reigns, it was probably staged with the blood calves or something. It looked like Reigns was coughing up blood after having a set of stairs dropped on him. Mm-hmm. And so this is your underdog babyface who's getting beaten the crap out of this horrific monster who just got the heaviest, these 500-pound steel steps dropped on his chest. And the crowd is chanting, "You deserve it," at Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not you agree that that's, an acceptable thing for a crowd to do, is this weird thing where the story that WWE is trying to present and the reaction that the crowd are going along with just don't work. There's a massive disconnect there. Now, conversely, I'm going to fast forward about a year to the feud that's been going on between Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. And the crowd is more than willing to go along with the meta narrative of Ciampa being just the worst guy who's ever lived in the history of wrestling. They're more than willing to boo the crap out of Ciampa as long as just his name appears. It's fascinating to watch how much a crowd that's really invested and willing to work with the narrative that NXT's trying to tell really helps to elevate that feud, and how much it can kill a feud that WWE, when the interest between the fans and WWE management doesn't line up, which I'm kind of also worried about with one of the matches, more than one of the matches on the Hell in a Cell card.
I think I know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about at least one or two of them, honestly, but we'll get to that when we get there.
Sure.
But my question is, how do you, as someone who's trying to book a show, particularly on the main roster, book a show that gets the fans on your side so that they help support the narrative that you're trying to tell?
It's a very interesting thing, and you know what? I'm going to say this much. Obviously, it's very an issue where, what do you do if you're trying to book one story and the guy who's more or less supposed to be the villain of it has basically gotten more over with the crowd than the babyface? Now, it's probably more deeper than that in the current situation we'll get to, but I can tell you this from what I've studied up. This isn't exactly even unique to this current time period, because this, at least, I could say, especially even in just the World Wrestling Federation as it was known back then, this could go as far back as Superstar Billy Graham, to be perfectly honest. If you don't know this whole story.
I do not.
When Vince McMahon's father, Vincent James, made Superstar Billy Graham his champion, I think back in the late 70s. It was basically done because he didn't have a strong baby face to make champion at the time. I forget the first guy it wasn't Ivan Koloff. It was Pedro Morales, I think. He had to take the belt off of him because he wasn't liking how Morales' fans were reacting. He put the belt back on San Martino as a result, but after 3 years, Bruno said, I can't do this anymore. So basically, he didn't have a babyface. So the deal he made was he would let Billy Graham wear the belt for a year and a half. And basically, this is kind of the stuff I learned, of all things, watching those Jim Cornette clips, believe it or not. I actually heard some interesting, because that's the frustrating thing about Cornette, is as much as I don't like his attitude, he has good info and insight sometimes. But anyway, Back onto this point at the topic at hand, what he was talking about is, the plan was to let Billy Graham hold the belt for a year and a half, while Vincent J. would spend that time building up Bob Backlund into being the all-American superstar babyface that he wanted, and then Backlund would eventually beat Graham for the title. Well, something happened in that year and a half that McMahon, the elder McMahon, did not anticipate. Graham got majorly over. The crowd even though he was still trying to be portrayed as the villain, the crowd just started liking him, I guess because of his insane charisma and whatnot. But even still, the Vincent J. still went along with the plan at hand, and when the scheduled time that he promised to make Backlund champion, he booked him to beat Graham for the title, and Backlund proceeded to hold the belt for the next 6 years, up until the time that Vincent K. bought the company from his father, eventually transitioned Backlund over to Hulk Hogan, who had proceeded to get over himself, pretty much using Superstar Billy Graham's gimmick. I mean, Graham was pretty much the inspiration for guys like Hulk Hogan and Jesse Ventura and their characters. It is just an interesting thing.
I wonder how much of that is honestly applicable, because the situation as far as how much fans know, and that would have been, 30 plus years ago? The situation you're talking about is?
Yeah.
That's long before dirt sheets were super, super common and just a Google search away, obviously.
Valid point. And that's why I do wonder, if the internet had existed back in 1980 or the late 70s, wherever it was, would people have been talking about how frustrating it would be if the internet existed and the in and outs of the business was more well known back then as it is now? Would there be complaints that that Vincent J was screwing over their favorite Billy Graham to put the guy on this on because it's really because let's face it, Backlund was known for pretty much being a boring champion. So what? He didn't have a lot of personality.
I almost wonder this is what it almost sounds like to me is the difference between an NXT crowd and a main roster crowd, and this is a little bit of speculation on my part.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of goes back to booking a little bit in the sense that NXT fans are reacting to the characters of the wrestlers that are being presented. You boo the characters of Johnny Gargano. You boo not Johnny Gargano. Sorry, you boo Tommaso Ciampa or Shayna Baszler because of the actions of their characters. Even if you know that in real life, Gargano and Ciampa, for example, are best of friends.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have to be good. You have to have good friends and a level of trust to put on the sort of matches that they've been putting on 3 takeovers in a row, which I kind of hope they pump the brakes on because I don't want them to overexpose that feud. That's neither here nor now. Whereas on the main roster, it almost seems to me like fans are not interacting with the characters of, just as an example, Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman. They're reacting to management.
Yeah, exactly the point. Yeah, was about
They don't cheer or boo Roman Reigns. They cheer or boo the way that Vince McMahon is booking Roman Reigns.
Supposedly, yeah, that seems to be the situation, and that comes to, one of my other friends is a big wrestling fan, Nate Milbank. Hope that maybe he can be on the show sometime at one point in time. He's always talked about how WWE has just fails at developing their own superstars, how they've flooded their own current main roster with so many indie poaching jobs, so more or less, so to speak. And when you look at their history, really the only real homegrown superstars WWE may have ever really created were John Cena and The Rock, if you really think about it. Everyone else, from Stone Cold, who was an ECW alum, to Hogan or whatnot, yeah. I just said before that I think the response is it's almost impossible for them to do it, especially nowadays, because any guy who gets put in the main event spotlight on WWE's main shows is going to have the stigma of, well, the only reason he can get in the spotlight is because Vince likes him. And that's going to be almost it's like the only way a guy could get over with the crowd is if they somehow and be a main eventer is to somehow for them to get the idea that he's being pushed as a main event superstar in spite of at least in their eyes, Vince not liking him, which is almost an impossibility, you have to think.
Well, I have a thought here, but before I delve into my thought, Jeff, you've been kind of quiet on the signs. Do you have anything that you want to jump in here before I take the reins again?
Oh, well, basically, I think it has a matter to do with, like you said, booking. Plus, I think there has to be some kind of sincerity and authenticity behind the performance of the person in the ring, especially during promos. Now, I think one of the problems with Roman is that on the outset, they wanted him to basically be the guy at his only second year in the company.
2000 spring of Royal Rumble 2015, I'll say. Yeah,
roughly. And he was clearly not ready.
No,
he was clearly not ready for it. They pushed. I mean, it's like when I say that they pushed him too hard, too fast, it's like they pushed him before he was ready. I mean, now he's a lot more comfortable with his promos. He's a lot more comfortable putting himself into it a little bit. I mean, some of the stuff he says is still a little bit corny, calling everybody a bitch, but that's neither here nor there. But he's a lot more comfortable in his own skin, whereas before he was spouting off the suffering succotash, the tater tots, and whatever, and it was it was just horrible. It was just awful, and that sort of unpreparedness that he had sort of I think kind of translated into his performance in the ring, because he was still he was still trying to find his footing.
Yeah.
And I think that once people got that impression of a solo Roman Reigns, they kind of stuck with that, like just kind of got a death grip on it, which is unfair. And honestly, sometimes I kind of feel bad for him because he has like this almost a black mark on his career because of something that wasn't really even his fault.
No, it is interesting that we can look at a guy who's main evented as many WrestleManias as Hulk Hogan, has fought Brock Lesnar twice and Triple H and The Undertaker, who has won every championship that's available in WWE, who's the face of the company. It's weird that we can look at that guy and say, yeah, I feel sorry for that guy.
Yeah.
It's both it's kind of a sad state to say that you can look at somebody who is, by all intents and purposes, and all accounts, a future Hall of Famer.
Yeah. And from what I hear behind the scenes, he's actually a really decent, really good guy. He's an absolute locker room leader.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating for me. Is the situation of, you look at all of these really crazy, ridiculous chants that the crowd will make during a show. Like, they'll make those CM Punk chants, or they'll make a "We Are Awesome" chants, or whatnot. And you just figure, like, yeah, we've said it. You would think these people are smart enough to know that if you're upset with how Roman Reigns has been handled, it might be mostly Vince or management's fault, but why are they taking it out directly on Reigns instead of just flat out making Vince sucks chants, or what's the guy, or Kevin Dunn sucks chants for all intents? If you really want to F up the crowd in the TV tapings there, why not throw that guy's name out there, since he's supposedly at least the second most hated guy behind the scenes behind Vince?
Because
he's not the target in front of them.
Yeah,
Roman is the face that you can see. He's the face that you can attack.
And that's just unfortunate. Yeah, I have to agree, that's kind of unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
No, I will say that WWE's kind of, I think, in recent years, they've actually cottoned on to this fact. Now, they're not willing to make Reigns the heel of the company, but they at least know what the crowd reaction is going to be, and they know how to leverage it. Mm-hmm. He was the second to last guy in the 2017 and 2018 Royal Rumbles, almost certainly because they knew that if you eliminate Reigns at the Rumble, you're going to get the biggest pop of the night. Which, honestly, is clever booking. And they did something similar at SummerSlam when they had Braun Strowman tease his cash-in. There were some great theories going around on Reddit. And it could have been a little conspiracy theory, but it also could have been interesting. Because I think it was at Backlash just a month or so earlier, when the last match of the night was Roman Reigns versus Samoa Joe. And most of the people left during that match. They left during the main event of a pay-per-view. Now, the theory goes, WWE doesn't want that happening for SummerSlam. They want Reigns to get his big coronation, but they want a full crowd. And they know that the crowd loves Braun Strowman. So they have Braun come out before the match and tease his cash-in so that the fans don't leave, because the fans hope for a Strowman cash-in. And then they don't get the cash-in, but they stick around to see Reigns get his coronation.
Here's the question why they... I don't know. Actually, maybe I'll... I had an idea about the whole current Roman and Braun situation, but I think I'm going to hold that off until we actually get to talking about that match later on in here, because I've got some theories about that. But it does basically go on with, I guess, it is a situation where, I can kind of see... Obviously, there's a situation where a lot of fans, at least who watch the main product, get the idea that their guy is never going to get put over. And maybe that's how they take their frustrations out, where they're just not going to go along with anything WWE goes with because they're just convinced it's not going to work out, and they just say we're just gonna try to screw with them. Where some others get this idea that it is going to always work out on NXT for the most part. I mean,
interesting.
And because I know my partner here, Jeff, he can get his frustrations going. We we argue back and forth on Twitter all the time about what
Yep.
WWE is doing, whatnot. Of course, we and Rosen talk about it all the time. And I guess it's just, for me, it's just the fact that I just can't get... I'm not going to say the current storytelling is that great, but I guess it's not something where I could get too frustrated about, I guess. It's just, because I've got other things I've been more frustrated about that I've talked about before. I won't bog us down with that now, but...
Yeah, and then the logical fallacy there is just because you are frustrated with one thing doesn't mean that other people can't be frustrated with a different thing.
Perhaps.
Sure, you may have been burned worse, you may have different standards about... I know it was... I'm going to botch this up, and I apologize for bringing up an old sore spot for you. I think it was the 2011 baseball tournament that you were interested in.
It was... What happened in... Yeah, I'll say, what happened... The way the Texas Rangers lost the 2011 World Series, I basically said that's basically...
That's the one it is, yes.
Almost,
I know that is your big black mark. That is, for many fans, what WrestleMania 32's main event was for them.
That's your Bucky Dent.
Yeah, that's, Bucky Dent, only we call it David Freeze. I'll just leave it at that. But, yeah, and for me, it's just that I can't understand it because the fact that what happened with the Rangers was unscripted. It wasn't it wasn't pre-planned to happen. It wasn't what any of us as Rangers fans wanted to happen, and because of that, and because it wasn't just booked, because it was, for lack of a better term, real, and that it was so gut-wrenchingly painful that I just can't get that upset about a scripted sporting event.
That's fair.
But I do think, but for what it's worth, it just is. It makes you wonder, what is it going to take for WWE to put together a type of storyline that the fans actually will go behind. Maybe they finally done it, because I'm trying to remember if it was you, if it was Jeff, or Don East, or someone that actually said they might actually like the direction that they're finally taking Kevin Owens in, as we saw the last couple of weeks on Raw.
I honestly can't think of what it is, but I'm not going to worry about it at this exact moment.
He's basically carrying... that week after he supposedly quit the company, but only came back because he but because he came back, and he admitted last week that the reason he came back was because he basically gotten a guarantee that he could do whatever he wants, and he's basically just going to carry out a massive, violent vendetta over just about everyone, but especially Bobby Lashley, because he injured Sami Zayn, and it basically looked like he's taking on the role of a vigilante in WWE, is the best thing I can put it. And it looks like at least a couple of my more jaded friends in regards to how WWE is being operated and booked right now were at least commenting on Twitter that maybe this might actually work for KO. So maybe that's
we can get to the individual booking of Kevin Owens some other time. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it.
Sure.
But it at least sounds like it's sort of in the direction that I would... Basically, I'll keep this really short here, because I know that we've spent a lot of time on this already, is if I wanted to do something to really get fan reinvestment back in, we need a huge, major, earth-shattering paradigm in the WWE landscape.
Perhaps. Mm-hmm.
And basically what that would mean is we would need an actual villain, and I don't mean like a heel like Kevin Owens. I mean someone who's almost legitimately scary and terrifying with power to back it up. And I'm not going to go into this fantasy. I'm not going to go into this fantasy booking now, but I have an idea.
Yeah.
The short term, the really short version of it is, I would build up a heel faction that would actually take over control of the company from Vince McMahon, completely alter and change Raw to the point that it's unrecognizable, and have them spread through WWE like a horror movie virus almost.
Yeah, from SmackDown to 205 Live, NXT.
I will say, I think they tried to create that villain in Jinder Mahal, and it didn't work for whatever that's worth. But yeah, I you know what, I'm gonna say this. Whatever your plan was, I think I had something similar in my own head. Maybe we'll talk about that later another time. I think
Yes.
we're definitely going to cover more on this subject, though, as we get into this Hell in a Cell card, which I believe John has in front of him as normal.
Of course I do. Of course I do. Now, of course, this is subject to change. We're only about 72 hours out from the event, and there is no pre-show listed at all for this event as of right now, which is interesting. I'm okay with that because there's already 8 matches on the card, and I think that's plenty. And all of these are honestly fairly major matches. There's only 2 matches that are not for a title, which is something else I have a gripe about with WWE, but I will not right now. So let's go with what I consider the less important of those 2 non-title matches. I'm going out of order here from what they have on Wikipedia. One of the Hell in a Cell matches on the card, one of the 2 Hell in a Cell matches, Jeff Hardy versus Randy Orton, because Randy Orton likes to put his fingers into Jeff's holes. I will not correct myself on that one.
Wait,
he is factually accurate with that.
When did this show become the New Year's Day edition of What the F is Wrong with You?
Ear holes.
But yeah.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to get this out of the way real quick. I don't care who wins this one. I've never really been into Jeff Hardy, and I've really, really never been into Randy Orton. I think I joined WWE a little too late to catch all of Orton's really good work, so I don't know. I guess Jeff's coming near retirement, so let him have this win. I think he asked for a Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah. I'm looking up. I've actually got the card up in my front on the CBS Sports website, the page they put up with it. It basically says that Hardy's always wanted to take part in this match for his entire career, so this may be a token gesture. Now, whether or not it's going to be, I will say whoever wins this match is going to determine on how far they want to go with this new gimmick of Orton's of trying to destroy people's careers again, which they might not be I wouldn't be surprised if they don't know exactly what they're going to do with Orton now with some of the more unfortunate stuff that's been coming out about his personal life recently. I think they may be kind of at a crossroads where Jeff, I think, wants to retire pretty soon, and I wouldn't be surprised if even by now some people in WWE might kind of want Orton to step away as well, to be perfectly honest.
Maybe it's I don't know.
Well,
Jeff?
Both are understandable. I've heard rumors that Jeff Hardy wants to retire mainly because of the fact that he's been doing swanton bombs for the past 20 damn years, and it's starting to fuck with his back.
Really? Don't say.
Yeah.
That would go on, Jeff. You were about to say something else.
But yeah. If you're gonna go out, if a guy like Jeff Hardy's gonna go out big, I mean, if that wasn't a factor, I would say don't put this in a Hell in a Cell match because it hadn't really been built up to that part yet. I would say give it to Charlotte. I would say give it to Charlotte and Becky, but that's not a thing. But
I give it to AJ Joe.
Yeah, AJ Joe. Yeah. I just think that if Jeff Hardy, like I said, if you're Jeff Hardy, you have this highlight reel of a career. I mean, Matt's pretty much kind of stepped down, kind of low key stepped down, and went into a producing role. So maybe Jeff Hardy will do that afterwards. But he is, like I said, if you gotta go with a smile, or the release a swanton off the Hell in a Cell.
That's actually what I've heard. Is that one of the rumor I heard was that one of the things Jeff's always wanted to do that he hasn't yet is do a swanton bomb off the top of Hell in a Cell. And so he said, "Hey Vince, look, I got like maybe 1 or 2 years left to do this. Can I get the Hell in a Cell match?" And Vince said, "Yeah, okay, fine." To which I say, "No, I don't want to watch Jeff Hardy die on TV. If he doing a regular swanton bomb hurts his back, I don't want to see him do it off the cage. We might literally watch a man die on TV."
You might literally watch a man die on TV. I might have to watch it in person.
Well, the thing is
have some free space on your video storage.
Yeah.
If they're gonna do it, I mean, they're gonna take like all the precautions they can. Like when they had Shane fall off the cage and land on the crash pad under the table and everything like that. If that's really what Jeff wants to do, is like that's what he sets out. Those like his heart's set on that. He'll probably do it whether he wins or loses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
He's gonna go the Shane McMahon route. I understand.
yeah. But moving on, I suppose. Let's just hope he survives it.
The other non-title match on the card, and it seems weird that they're doing this match already. It's a mixed gender tag match between the Bryans and the Mizes. Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella versus the Miz and Maurice. I'm very surprised that they're pulling the trigger on this feud so early, honestly. I would have held this one off for later. I personally would have Maurice pin Brie.
I would not. I'm not so sure they were going to do that, just because if you're going to have Maurice, especially not only have Miz and Maurice win, but have Maurice score the pinfall, that kind of puts a question mark on then why they would then have, even though they're the defending champions, why you would have Miz team up with Asuka again in the Mixed Match Challenge too. I kind of see this going the other way, where I would actually see the more I think about it, I see Brie pinning Maurice to win this match for her and Bryan, leading into a rubber one-on-one match between the two, where Miz and Daniel Bryan could still face off with Miz truthfully saying he was never beaten by Bryan in this feud. Mm-hmm. So that could help extend this further.
Maybe. I think it's a little better if the heel wins and then Bryan has something to chase after, is my logic behind it.
Perhaps.
Well, there's another thing to consider. Say Maurice pins. Maurice pins Brie Bella, and I imagine she'll want. I imagine she'll want comeuppance for that, or Bryan will want comeuppance for that, because like he is like dead set at ending the Miz. Like he wants to finish the Miz off, like or at the very least prove to him that that the Miz is not on his level, or at the very least prove to himself that as good as the Miz is, Daniel's that much better, and which could lead to, because if not mistaken, I think Survivor Series should be coming up soon.
Absolutely.
Perhaps that could lead to, like, say, an I Quit match. Yeah. Between the two.
And furthermore, I actually think that what makes me, I really believe that this is definitely just a one-shot deal for Brie, just because of the fact that I think if she was planning to come back full time, they might have done this earlier, or held off the second Mixed Match Challenge to where her and Bryan were taking part in it full time. But I get a feeling this is just a one-time deal for Brie, and that also makes me think that at least her team is going to come out on top. And yeah, she might very well be the one to score the pin on Maurice. That's kind of getting my gut feeling on this.
As long as she doesn't try any dives.
Yeah.
As long as she doesn't try any dives. I mean,
I heard that there were a couple of botches on Raw, I think is what happened.
She was a little rusty. Let's put it that way.
That sounds very polite.
To sum up, she hung herself by the stomach on the first attempt, and got her feet caught in the second attempt. So, yeah, as long as she doesn't do any tope suicidas, she's fine.
Okay.
And besides, she has that John Cena kind of contract where she can be on Raw or SmackDown, whatever she wants. She's part-time, Nikki's part-time.
Yeah.
It's all build up for Evolution anyway, so.
That's true.
It's true. We'll get to that when that time comes for certain.
And then I'm not sure what order to take the rest of these things, so I'm just going to go down the card. This is a match that I am stunned it's not a Hell in a Cell match, given the build-up to it that they had at SummerSlam. AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe for the WWE Championship. The SummerSlam match was fantastic. It's a big personal feud. There's actually genuine, literal and figurative blood behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm stunned this isn't in Hell in a Cell. I'm legitimately if there's a feud that deserves it, it's this.
I'm surprised that there isn't any stipulation on it. It's just another regular match.
Yeah.
I mean, you had a regular match the first time, and it ended up in a bloodbath.
Yeah, and this is why, and perhaps because it is in fact just another basic match. It's almost a coin flip for me as who might actually end up winning this thing. I do think this might end up being one of those feuds that they're gonna drag out. Much to every one time they do that, people groan about it, and yet probably this could be the singles equivalent of Usos versus New Day almost. Like, people are gonna gripe that it keeps getting dragged on, but say for what they will, I think AJ and Joe can still put off some pretty good matches just about every time they face off. So,
oh yeah,
it could be a dragged out feud that still could kind of work in some way.
I would like to see Joe win it just so that there's a heel on top at SmackDown, and then we can build up some baby faces to chase him. Plus, Joe's good. Plus, Joe's really good.
Oh,
but
yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been a real fan of Joe's heel work, especially with taunting Styles' family. Oh, Wendy. And the story...
It's okay, Wendy. It's okay, Wendy. I'll be your daddy. Yeah. That's the moment when the whole feud went, oh, man. Oh, AJ's going to kill him. Oh, this is going to be in a Hell in a Cell match. Wait, what do you mean it's not a Hell in a Cell match?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not a Hell in a Cell match? Okay. It's going to be like a Last Man Standing, Extreme Rules. No, it's just a regular match. Are you friggin' kidding me?
Yeah.
But no, this should be a good match. This should be a good, emotional, high-impact match. And, yeah, I kind of hope Joe does take it, at least for a little while. Like kind of AJ, lick his wounds a little bit.
Yeah. So, most part, we seem like we're okay with Samoa Joe winning that. The thing that we all really want here is some sort of a stipulation.
Yeah.
You mentioned the New Day earlier. New Day versus Rusev and Aiden English for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. I like to see Rooted and Aiden with it. I think they've been great, and they deserve to have it. And not knocking the New Day, they're great too, but we're not really going to get anything, ironically, new out of the New Day as far as a tag team run with them.
Yeah, this is one of those I'm just going to have to sell type of things where, you know what, I would rather, believe me, look, if there's one thing that I've been disappointed in WWE doing, I really wish that I would have loved to see just Rusev get rid of Aiden altogether, go on his own, and be a serious contender for the WWE Championship. But if they're gonna put a tag team belt on him with Aiden, I guess I'll take it. And I do kind of get the feeling that might be what they're doing here, where they may have finally found something to do with Rusev, and I guess at this point it's take what I can get as far as that goes.
Yep, Rusev. I mean, the Rusev Day thing just really skyrocketed, just took off like a bat out of hell.
I'm so flabbergasted he didn't win at Mania.
Yeah, that was just amazing. But yeah, I kind of hope Rusev Day takes the title too. I mean, we've seen New Day with with tag titles for like 5 different times over 500 days and whatever, and it's like been there, done that. I mean, like you said, not knocking the New Day. They're still at least they're still consistently entertaining. It's just they don't really do anything different. Yeah, I guess.
I kind of see them being a transitional champion right now to put the belt on someone like Rusev and Aiden. I definitely see happening right now.
Oh yeah.
Moving on, this one is a Hell in a Cell match for reasons unbeknownst to me, as far as plot reasons go. As far as business reasons trying to build up these 2 stars goes, I can understand why. Match for the WWE Universal Championship, Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman, who is cashing in his Money in the Bank contract. I will say, I like the fact that Strowman's character regarding Money in the Bank is, no, I don't want to cash it in behind your back like some sort of coward. I want to do this man-to-man, face-to-face. I like that. if I guess I can kind of appreciate that they're using Hell in a Cell to keep Ambrose and Rollins out, but at the same time, the justification for this being a Hell in a Cell match still feels a little weak. At the end of the day, I want Braun to win, but I also want a lengthy, championship reign with a whole lot of defenses that a transition feels like a big moment. So I'm not really sure what I want because I don't have really an option that I'm dying to see here, sadly.
I think the big issue of the one I've always had about, as far as this feud, more than anything, everyone's desire to want to see. This is the problem I have with everyone that's insisting that Braun needs to have the belt put on him. Not only that, but that Braun is supposed to be the babyface in this matchup. And this might go back to what we were talking about earlier with trying to go ahead with a storyline. People seem to want to think that Braun should be a babyface champion. And my problem with that is, then what do you do with him once he's that? How do you book a guy who's supposed to be that much of a dominating presence? He gets the title. Everyone he has to defend it against is going to be the underdog. How do you book matches like that and still have that guy so dominating be the babyface? It's that to me is the almost impossible situation where you're gonna have to book an underdog heel every single time against this guy.
Well, no, you could do it. You could do a monster babyface at the top, but it would be basically I would take John Cena's United States Open Challenge and just reskin it. Just put Braun Strowman in the position of John Cena and the Universal Championship instead of the U.S. one. Braun says, this is the most important belt in this company, and I want to make it prestigious. Brock Lesnar was never here to defend it. I'm here every week, so anyone who wants a shot to become the face of the WWE, come on out from the back and you face me. And then maybe if you want to have Brock turn heel so that you have an underdog babyface, have Braun get more arrogant with every passing week because no one can beat him and have him become more and more heelish.
Again, you would just. That's the thing. I do think, if you're going to have Braun have any type of lengthy run with a belt like that, you're gonna have to eventually turn him heel one way or another. Because I don't think you can. Yeah, you can have him do those open challenges, but eventually you gotta have a build-up match, built up to a pay-per-view where he's going up against someone that has to be a legitimate threat to him, as big as he is. And I just don't see how you could do that to have a guy be someone who could willing to stand up to a guy like Braun Strowman and always be the heel. That's kind of why I do think that you're going to see Roman win this thing. I don't have a problem with it being a Hell in a Cell match because these guys have fought before over the course of the years. I'm going to admit the one factor I really don't quite understand is Mick Foley's presence as a special guest referee in this thing.
I forgot that.
Yeah, it's like supposedly done because of it. Yeah, this is supposed like the anniversary of when he took that of his infamous cell match with the Undertaker.
When he took a header off the cell, and then when Undertaker chokeslammed him through the cell.
Good God, how is Mick alive?
Yeah.
I think Mick wonders that himself sometimes.
Yeah.
I think Undertaker wonders it too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
but what other reason does? Yeah. So it's.
Yeah, I'm just not sure what type of factor he's gonna play in this thing, and whether or not it's gonna really make a difference in the match. To be perfectly honest,
I don't think he's really gonna make all that much of a difference. I think he's just pretty much there for the nostalgia factor.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
As far as like the match itself goes, you're probably right. Although they have been trying to play Braun as more of a heel, and the thing is, he kind of works. He sort of kind of works both ways. But he does some good heel work. But people tend to still cheer him. Although there have been more boos mixed in, I think mainly because he was a do-it-yourself kind of guy. He was, he didn't have factions. He didn't, wasn't part of a gang or anything like that. Or at least,
after he broke away from the Wyatt family.
Yeah. After he broke away from the Wyatt family, he was, he was solo. He was a solo act basically. And where I think they kind of had like a missed opportunity was with, the Shield coming out and beating up Braun 3-on-1, which they did before when Braun was a full on heel. But now, I mean, Braun's doing cash in, and the Shield comes in and stops it and everything, and now he teams up with Dolph and Drew, and then that's a whole thing. So I guess maybe it seems kind of. I guess maybe people think it's kind of weak that he's this big, strong, like you said, dominating personality, and he's like, I need help.
It's basically the only thing they could do to try and make him the heel in this particular matchup, whether certain fans like that or not. But moving on here.
The Women's Raw Championship match, Ronda Rousey versus Alexa Bliss in her contractually obligated rematch. This should be the bathroom break match. Look, I know Rousey's trying to be a big deal, but Bliss does not have the in-ring skills to hang with Rousey for any more than 5 minutes.
Wait and see what happens here. I am interested to see, I will say this. The house show I'm going to see in Corpus Christi this Saturday, it is a Raw show, as I must virtually, and I'm actually going to be interested to see if Rousey's going to take part in there. And if she does, that's one thing you can positively say about her, is that she does willing to show up for events like that, so she's no Brock Lesnar in that regard.
That's true. She does seem to at least enjoy WWE for WWE's sake, way more than Lesnar does.
Yeah. Yeah, I would probably say this is like John said, this is the bathroom break match. I mean, even though they're trying to play this thing where Ronda's ribs are hurt or anything or something like that to try and give Alexa something of an edge to make it a little bit more, more of a quote challenge. It's pretty much a foregone conclusion that Ronda's gonna wipe the mat with the goddess.
Yeah.
I'm afraid you're gonna have to get. I'm afraid I don't think any sacrifices are gonna save her this time, Rowdy.
Well, all I'm gonna say, looks at this. Look, even if it's just a 5-minute match, if I'm gonna be there, getting to watch the goddess with my Rowdy Piper T-shirt wearing for the other person, I'm gonna enjoy the whole 5 minutes of it. So you know what? For me, it still might be the best 5 minutes of the whole damn show. Unless the other women's match, which we'll get to later. I get a feeling John's been saving that for last for certain reasons.
No, honestly, I'm just going down the card. It's honestly the next one on the list.
Well, very well.
I don't know why Wikipedia has it listed in the order it has it listed in, but I'm just going down their rundown at this point. That sounds like a cue to go on to the other women's match in the card. The other match that really should be Hell in a Cell, because, again, this has a lot of heat behind it. Interesting to note that they're both for the SmackDown titles as well, neither for the Raw titles. Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch. Hot damn, Becky is, no pun intended for her gimmick, she is on fire. Holy crap.
I am in love with this woman.
And here's
she might
where
honestly
we get...
be She might honestly be SmackDown's hottest babyface act right now, over Daniel Bryan. It's kind of crazy.
And here's where we get to the big debate here. That I've been having to be at very different odds with people like Jeff and with Rosen as well. Because, look, let me get this straight first. I love both these women. You give me my top, not just my top 3 female performers, but probably not just my top 3 performers in WWE right now. They are probably Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte. May or may not be in that order, even. But this whole storyline, to me, all I get bombarded with on my social media feeds is that Becky is completely in the right to turn on Charlotte Flair because supposedly Charlotte was a bad friend by taking the match at SummerSlam and screwing Becky out of her fair shot at the title. And I talked about this on Rowdy Live about the week after it happened. This is, like I said, this is from my experience of 20 years of watching actual competitive sports, which is supposed to simulate in some way. I can't see Charlotte as the bad guy in this thing. All Charlotte did was be a professional and take a title opportunity that was given to her by Paige in adding her into that matchup.
And that's the problem. That's the problem right there.
Yeah.
Becky Lynch had to win a bunch of like contenders matches to get her shot, and Paige just goes, yeah, Charlotte, you're in.
And if Becky was upset at Paige, yeah, then I would be understanding. But what
could she do to Paige though? I mean, what she can't do anything to Paige, so.
People have done things to general managers before on WWE shows and other authority figures. It's not.
The thing is, Paige
is different with her neck injury.
That's fair enough on that.
It's like how Edge can't take a bump
on that. And
yeah.
It just.
And this is the thing: is you don't want the heat for your wrestlers to be on the general managers. You want your heat on wrestlers to be on other wrestlers. You want this blood feud between wrestlers.
This is just where I just can't see it being realistic, because if Becky is supposed to be a true competitor, for me, what would get her pissed off at Charlotte is if Charlotte let her win the title at SummerSlam. If she had either stepped away from it or had just stood by and let her pin Carmella for the title. To me, that would, if I was Becky Lynch, I don't have the boobs for it, but if I was Becky, that would be what would make me want to beat the crap out of my best friend, because she basically took pity on me and basically said, oh yeah, I could beat you anytime, I'm just not going to now because I feel sorry for you.
Well, that's, I guess, the difference between how you would book your baby faces and how the majority of other people would.
Yeah.
Now, your version of a babyface booking there, that could work out really well.
Mm-hmm.
But the version that they're booking in here isn't bad.
Trav, I do want to say this. Look, I want to get your guys' takes on who you think is going to win this particular match, and then I want to give my take on what I'm going to do a miniature how would I book this and what I think should happen. You guys first.
I want Becky to win, but I think Charlotte's going to win because WWE has invested more time into making Charlotte the face of the women's division, and they're building up Charlotte versus Rousey for WrestleMania.
Yeah, I want Becky to win as well, but yeah, it does. The odds are that Charlotte will win either, and I think the main takeaway here, the thing to look for, is how she wins it. Like, is she going to be like the dirtiest player in the game, like her dad? Is she going to win it clean, or even if Becky wins, is she going to win it clean? Is she going to be, or is she going to do some underhanded shit? Not to stretch too long, but to go back to your point, I'd probably amend my opinion to say that I don't know if Becky was 100% right. However, I do feel I do feel her frustration was completely understandable.
I'll grant you that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Her frustration was completely understandable, and she took it out on somebody who, I guess in her mind, didn't need to be there.
I think it was misdirected anger, is the way I would put it. Meanwhile, here's what I would think should happen with this. Becky can't win this match. Here's what I would do. You have Charlotte win this match. Then you have to set up a storyline where Becky now, she doesn't have the title, she lost her best friend, she basically has nothing. Now you bring in a group like the Iconics. They start taunting and teasing Becky about being alone, having no one, not having the title. They bully her. They do 2-on-1 assaults on her. Becky, trying to prove something to herself, is daring to take on handicap matches with her, keeps getting beaten all the time. Finally, Charlotte can't take it anymore. She's still Becky's friend. She comes out and aids Becky, whether she wants it or not, against the Iconics. Paige then comes, books a fatal 4-way match, I guess at Evolution perhaps, again, where Charlotte has to defend against Becky, Peyton, and Billie Kay. In this match, first off, you gotta have a situation where Peyton and Billie almost go at odds with each other, putting their friendship on the line at the chance of being women's champions. So there's some slight tension there that could add something.
And I have an idea on how you can do that, but go ahead.
And this is where Becky wins the title in this fatal 4-way where the odds are even less against her. She gets, whether or not she has to be, in fact, I would say I would almost book the finish to be Billy and Peyton are going after one another. Charlotte's able to get one of them with either natural selection or the figure 8. Becky comes in, hits Charlotte with a Bexploder, hits the Iconic for the pinfall, wins the title there. You get Becky the title and able to have a redemption story where you can realistically, in storyline, make her a babyface again. Whether or not you eventually can put Charlotte against Ronda, you know what? You can have Charlotte win the Royal Rumble and move over to Raw to face Ronda for her women's title on Raw. You can still do that. That's how I would book it, at least.
It's a possibility.
The only thing I have issue with is with Becky's character as she stands right now has a very rough edge, like a very tough edge to her.
Very stone cold sort of edge almost.
Yes, a very stone cold sort of edge. She's also a lot more cunning than she usually is. Not to say that your scenario couldn't work. I'm just saying that it would have to be like the loss would have to be like that. It would be devastating, and it would have to you'd have to see the complete and utter despair on her face, when she loses.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm just saying, that character from being picked on by the Iconics and whatnot, which is kind of what they're doing with Naomi and Asuka. So, go figure. But as far as having Peyton and Billy go after each other, and here's the thing: having watched NXT and seen them in fatal 4-way matches, they hardly ever go after each other.
Yeah.
But the thing you'd have to think is Paige could probably put in a stipulation where if Billy and Peyton don't actually fight, if they try to pin one another that way, because I'm surprised they haven't thought of it before. They not only do not win the title, they get fired.
Yeah, I guess I gotta see that. I just gotta see a situation where maybe because I didn't watch a lot of those NXT matches, where if you put something as big as the WWE Championship on the line, that's the one thing that just, like it did to Charlotte and Becky, that might that might force them to have to risk their friendship for something. That's just something I would think about. But I do believe we have...
Yeah, and you can and you know what, you can put that in say a promo package or a promo where Charlotte and Becky talk to that talk to the Iconics about how going after the gold and wanting to be the women's champion will make you do just about anything.
Yeah.
Even take on your best friend.
Yeah. But then again, what do I know? I'm just a sports entertainment fan who doesn't know anything about wrestling. I do think we do have at least one more match to talk about, right, John?
We have precisely one more match. The last match on the card for the Raw Tag Team Championships between Dolphin Tire and Rollins and Ambrose.
Yeah.
I like Drew McIntyre. I am completely... And this is weird because he's a Cleveland boy. I have no enthusiasm for Dolph Ziggler whatsoever.
Yeah.
I would like to see Drew... No, not this event, but I eventually want to see Drew go back as a single star because, good God, the man looks like he was built for WWE. He's 6 foot infinity, 350 pounds of sheer muscle, hits like a truck, has an amazing Scottish accent. Look, I'm a little gay for Drew McIntyre. Okay, that's basically what I'm saying here.
Yeah, no problem.
I do think this is more a trend. I think they did set up Ziggler and McIntyre to basically be almost like maybe a kind of a transitional period to put the belts back on Rollins and Dean Ambrose, just so they could keep the Shield alive in some form or fashion, which I kind of like just from the fact that everyone thought they were going to turn Ambrose heel, and I just kind of like the fact that they didn't. They kind of, because I thought that would have been a pointless heel turn, to be perfectly honest. I kind of like the fact that they're going to give Rollins and Ambrose the tag team belts, and then maybe you force Rollins to have to put his Intercontinental title on the line, maybe in a triple threat match with Ziggler and McIntyre, or maybe even throw Ambrose in there as a fatal four-way. Well, then you put the partnership of Ziggler and McIntyre at risk there, and wait and see what they have to do. Like, maybe that's how you eventually put the Intercontinental title on McIntyre, and you get him into that singles setting that you want that much.
Yeah, maybe. And then you could have him, obliterate Ziggler.
Perhaps, yeah. It definitely is.
This match is clearly it's clearly thrown together to put the two people who aren't Braun and Roman together and just say, here, you guys have a tag title match.
Yeah, I think this would be the bathroom break match for me, and though I've got nothing against.
Wow,
Rollins,
that's sad to hear.
Well, maybe, but I mean, it won't be that long of a bathroom break. I guess I won't miss too much of it because they'll drag it out over 20 minutes or something like that. But yeah, we'll wait and see once I step into that old hellhole place of the AT&T Center in San Antonio. I just gotta say that as a Mavericks fan. Just gotta stick it to the San Antonians down there, but very few things I'll step into that building for, and yes, WWE will be one of them. So, hopefully I'll enjoy it. If you guys watch it, hope you can enjoy it there as well. Hope everyone that was tuned in to listen to this on this Friday evening has enjoyed it. Stay tuned, of course, in a few hours at 10 p.m. Central Time. The next Rowdy Live will be taking place. I believe we'll be playing Hudson's Adventure Island, the old NES game that may be one of the more obscure but addicting games. Don't know if either one of you guys have been able to play that in your time. Hopefully it'll be enjoyable for you if you're able to tune in. Also be previewing and be showing you the first showing of the next TV Trash, my review of Reanimated and Out of Jimmy's Head, the most infamous series in Cartoon Network history, yes, even more than Teen Titans Go, as well as my comments on why I think the highway system in America is a complete failure. All that more is coming up starting at 10 p.m. here on RowdyC.com and Twitch TV. Do want to thank my partners once again, John Weber and Jeff Winnup, for sticking by all of the technical difficulties we had putting this thing together. You guys are real troopers for being able to endure all of my idiocies as an online producer, and I really appreciate that.
Not a problem. Happy to help you out.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah. So once again, for John Weber, for Jeff Winnup, this is Rowdy Chris Lemore saying thanks for listening once again to the Rasslin Roundup. Stay rowdy, my friends.